When I was in 8th grade, I was very curious about how the states got their shapes. Why are all the states so weirdly shaped, and then Wyoming and Colorado are just boxes? Why are the states in the East real tiny, but the states in the West so huge? I voiced this curiosity to my social studies teacher that year, and she introduced me to the show, How the States Got Their Shapes. I loved this show. I still tell people how some states got their shapes, much to the annoyance of most of them. If you're one of those people that would be annoyed by that, click away, go watch The Odd Ones Out or something, because I'm about to learn you lessons about why the states are so weird. Number 1. Why are the eastern states' borders squiggly lines, but the western states' borders straight and boxy? Well, it's because of choo-choo trains. Back in the East, they used rivers as borders because trains hadn't been invented yet, and water was their primary source of transportation. That's also why most major cities are on water. That's also why most state borders in the East are very squiggly. Then comes the Industrial Revolution. Trains are here! Also, the US is moving west, and with that movement comes more states, and when you have more states, you have more borders, so what do you do to find these borders? With the train tracks, that's why most of the states have straight lines and are so boxy. Number 2, Missouri. Missouri seems like a pretty normally shaped state, with the straight border on the bottom, top, and the left side, and the Mississippi River carving out the western side. Everything's normal except for those two weird things on the side. The little bit on the top left is the Platte Purchase, which was acquired by the natives there. I don't get why it's called the Platte Purchase when I doubt there was any actual purchasing going on. The Boot Heel of Missouri is actually an interesting story. At least, it is to me. Back when Missouri was first admitted to the Union, it didn't include the Boot Heel. The people that lived there were all like, we have more in common with Missouri. Missouri is better than Arkansas. Arkansas is bad, etc. No, after writing this, I looked it up just to confirm if I was remembering it right, and it turns out what I said was just a legend. Turns out it was because the rich landowners didn't want to be part of Arkansas and just wanted to govern themselves. But that's boring. Another version I heard from the aforementioned social studies teacher is that there was a huge earthquake in New Madrid, Missouri, that rang bells in North Carolina, made the Mississippi River run backwards, and destroyed Memphis. This earthquake devastated the area in what is now southeastern Missouri, which meant it was cheap to buy. This guy bought the land, and when Arkansas and Missouri were becoming states, he wanted to join Missouri because he felt that Missouri would have a stronger political power. I didn't see the version anywhere on Wikipedia, so I'm assuming it's not true. That kind of makes me sad because it was pretty interesting. I guess teachers can't always be right. Next, Ohio and Michigan. Have you ever wondered why Michigan has that upper peninsula? No? Well, too bad. I warned you I was going to nerd out. Well, back in the day, Toledo was a pretty important city, with it being on Lake Michigan and all. Michigan and Ohio both wanted Toledo, and they actually had a war called the Toledo War, or the Michigan-Ohio War, who depends on who you ask. It lasted from 1835 to 1836. The US government was all like, we can't have these states fighting, that's no good, even though the Civil War would be like 30 years later. So they proposed a deal. Ohio would get Toledo, and Michigan would get the land above Lake Michigan that nobody had really explored or colonized yet. Michigan was pretty sad at the time, but I imagine they were just laughing now. Finally, why is a part of Kentucky not actually in Kentucky? Funny you should ask, it's because that part of Kentucky actually used to be connected to Kentucky. How did it end up looking like it either belongs to Missouri or Tennessee? Interesting story, it's because of the Mississippi River. Rivers, especially rivers like the Mississippi or the Missouri, are constantly changing their position due to erosion and stuff. The river eventually moved downward enough that it separated that part of Fulton County from the rest of Fulton County. I went on to Google Street View to see if there were any houses or people living in the area, and all I saw was a bunch of farmland, which really isn't too weird for the Midwest. Quick note before I go to the end card. While I was messing around with Google Maps, I found that someone had gone kayaking or canoeing or whatever, and took a 360 camera so you can do a street view of that part of the Mississippi River that surrounds that little part of Fulton County. Radical. Alright, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video and that I didn't nerd out too much. This was really a fun video to make because it's just so interesting to me, but yeah, okay, bye.